All right, so now we're gonna do the company burger, which is our signature burger we do at my restaurant, the company burger. I've been doing this burger for a very long time, since I was a young cook in Atlanta in 2008, 2009. And when we opened the restaurant in 2011, I really wanted to bring this burger to the forefront because it is a classic American cheeseburger that harkens back to when the burgers in America were first created. I like a very simple burger. I wanted to make everything ourselves. I wanted to bake the bread, grind the meat, and make the pickles. And that's what this is. We have buns we make ourselves every day. Pickles we make ourselves. It's American cheese, and it's 2 patties, just salt on the patties, and that's it. It's a very simple burger, all about the ingredients and the execution. The reason we use American cheese is because it's super melty and it's super creamy. It's basically cheddar curds, like cheddar cheese curds that are spread out with more milk. So it's basically just like a milkier cheddar cheese that becomes American cheese. And because you've added that milk and processed it in a very specific way, it tends to be very melty and very creamy. So it's like no other cheese you'll ever have, for better or for worse. All right, so now we're gonna make the patties for the company burger. Each one is about 100 grams, and we do 2 per burger because for the company burger, it's a thin pattied double cheeseburger. Makes it so much juicier and more enjoyable to eat. So we'll take our beautiful grind we did earlier, try to get it to about 100 grams. Perfecto. Collect it all. And then you do, at this point, want to compact it just a little, but not too much. You want to keep it loose. And then we're going to put another piece of parchment on it. And for me, this is just the easiest way to make a patty if you don't have a patty press or a ring mold, or if you want to start tamping your meat down. You just take a couple spatulas with the patty paper, and you do it as if you were making a smash burger, but you're just doing it with the patty paper, and you push down pretty aggressively. And that's your burger patty. All right, so now we're going to cook the company burger. This is, again, our signature burger. It's 2 thin patties, toasted hamburger bun with butter, bread and butter pickles, American cheese, and shaved red onions. First, we're going to toast the bun. The bun has butter on it. This is one of the most important parts of the company burger. There's a couple, but this is really where it all starts, right? Is getting a really great hamburger bun, but also toasting it with butter. It does a lot of things, but mostly it gives it that really, really nice caramelized brown toasty flavor, which holds up and then creates a little layer of crispiness so the juice from the burger doesn't turn the bun super soggy. But then at the same time, it's doing what I call the crispy ring of goodness, which it's creating this toasty ring around the edge of the bun, which provides another layer of texture while you're eating. So you always want to butter your bread before you toast it. And we're just simply going to let it do its thing on a griddle. And this is something you can always have in your house as a griddle pan, as opposed to like an entire griddle. And you just kind of let it do its thing. You kind of push it a little bit and make sure it's full contact. All right, so now we're back and the bread is toasted. You see it has this delightful crispy ring of goodness, as I call it, on both of them. That is a really good toast. It's pretty much exactly what we're looking for. And now we're gonna go directly into cooking the burger. These are the patties that we made earlier. And I like to season them with just salt. pretty liberal. It doesn't need to be a crazy amount because the cheese is kind of salty as well. Crank up your griddle. And that is the sound you want to hear. A little bit of salt on the other side. You can already smell it. I'm going to give it just a little push in the beginning to make sure it's fully contacted. It's going to go really quick. You don't want to push your patties after you flip them. If you do that, all of the juice that's been worked up with all of the fat rendering, it's going to get pushed out of the meat, and that is the last thing you want. So you're going to let these go until you start seeing the edges kind of come in a little bit, and there'll be some juice kind of bubbling up from this side of the patty, and will be your signal to flip them. It already smells incredible. Okay, so now we're pretty much there. I'm going to flip this one. All right, so that's looking really good. We've got really good crusty. Now for the company burger, we do onions on one patty, but cheese on both. So this is our version of the classic American cheeseburger, right? We don't put ketchup on it, we don't put mustard on it. All of that at the restaurant is on the table for the guests to put on at their leisure. But for me, this is kind of what I've always envisioned that the original burgers were made. You know, you're talking about a product and an item that was created in America before and during the Depression, and rose to prominence really during the post-World War II sort of highway expansionism, right? Like everyone thinks of McDonald's as like the first big thing, but really it was White Castle before that, which is more of like a slider, which we'll get into, but everything was basically just ground meat and onions and mustard and pickles. So this is just our kind of like looking back to go forward version of it. It's a contemporary old school cheeseburger. And the great part about it is that this doesn't have to be completely melted because we stack it, and that's going to finish melting the cheese underneath, which will then, with the heat coming up, get trapped and will start melting and sweating the onions. So you get onions that are juicy, cheese that is melty, and all of that great rendered fat from the burger. It really it's like a whole thing. It becomes a part greater than itself. We're not going for a specific temperature. These burgers traditionally are always cooked through, and that's why we do a heavier percentage of fat in the grind, is because that's what keeps the burger juicy. So you're cooking out all the water, you're rendering all the fat. The burger's sort of like a medium plus, mid-well, almost cooked through. And then you get all that cheese and onion juice. And once you take a bite of it, it all makes sense. So we're just about done here. You can see there's no more blood. The cheese is super melted. The onions are starting to kind of do their thing. And we go right on that toasted bread. And all we garnish with is homemade bread and butter pickles. Now these are the sweeter version of pickles that we make ourselves in-house. So at the restaurant, we grind our meat, we make our bread, we toast the bread, and we make our pickles all ourselves. And these are the sweet version of pickles because there's a lot of salt going on, there's a lot of creaminess. And these pickles are crunchy, they're cold, they're bright, they're acidic, they've got a little bit of sweetness to them. It's a really nice counterbalance to all of the fatty, salty beef that's going on. And then we crown it. And that's it. That's the company burger, man.